Hi there, it is Monday and we want to show you Willow's pups. They were born last Wednesday, so they're approaching a week old, getting right almost to that mark. They're growing great and doing wonderful. So Willow and Cliff had 8 pups and 5 are boys and 3 are girls. So we just want to introduce each one to you and let you get to know them a little bit. So we'll start with the ones that are here in my lap, I guess. We'll start with the girls. How about that? Ladies first. So here is our purple pup. And Willow and Cliff's litter. Orange is going to sing to us looking for his mama. If we roll her over, we can take a look at markings. So purple has a little bit of white right here in her throat. She has a little bit of white right here. Just a little faint mark right there on her chest. She has solid front paws. Did you get that yawn? So sleepy. And if we look, she's got, hold your paws out, solid back paws. So purple here is a marked Vizsla. Now some Vizslas are all just the reddish color and some have some white markings. Either way is fine. The breeds that were used to create the Vizsla some of them had white markings, and so that's why you will see some white markings come through on some Vizsla pups. Even if you breed 2 solid Vizslas, you can still end up with some marked pups. In this particular case, Dad is a solid Vizsla and Mom has some chest markings. So purple is a marked pup. Now this marking in her throat, if we can take a look at that again, this is actually outside of breed standard. It's not terribly unusual to see. We don't get it very often at all, but it's not terribly unusual to see in a Vizsla. Again, it's just coming from some of those breeds that were used to create the Vizsla. Even though neither Mom or Dad have those, it's just something that can come through. So purple here will be a limited registration pup. We wouldn't recommend using her for breeding and for conformation show, which is the prettiest dog contest, because of that marking. It's only a cosmetic issue. So, as far as a family companion, a runner, or whatever, even a hunter, anything like that, not a big deal for any of those things. But she will be a limited registration pup. And she's just cute and sweet as can be. There's scooting all over. Here is our yellow gal. She's a little bit smaller than her sister, purple. And let's take a look at her. She has quite a bit here in the throat and bigger in the chest as well than purple. So she is definitely a more marked pup. She is solid front paws and marked on the back paws. So as far as breed standard, again, this throat is out of breed standard, so she'll be a limited registration pup. The markings in the chest and toes, those are perfectly fine markings for a Vizsla to have. So again, not going to be a breeder or a show dog, but can be a great companion and excellent part of your family. As you can see, she's darling. All right, we'll hurry and do our third girl, which is Miss Gold or Tan. I don't know what color you want to call it. Here, we will show her to you. She is a little bit lighter in her overall coloring, and again, that's fine. They can range from strawberry blonde to deep rust, and that's just a matter of preference, whatever you like. Even for show or breeding, any of that's fine. Again, we have some white here in the throat. We're not quite sure why we have so much of that coming through in this litter. Neither Mom or Dad have it, but again, it's just one of those things from their genetic history, the breeds that were used to create them. It's coming through this time. So she's got the white in the chest, solid front, and a little bit of marking, just a highlight on these back toes. So there is our gold, is what we're going to call her gold. Kind of a tannish color. I'll call her gold. There's our gold girl. Let's see if she'll snuggle up with her sisters. And we'll move on to Mr. Orange here, who wants to be the star of the show. He's talking to us. Here is our orange pup. we roll him over, he's sticking his tongue out for you. Again, quite a bit here in the throat, quite a bit here in the chest. This chest marking is within breed standard though. If we look, front paws are solid. And back paws have a tiny bit on a couple of these toes, just right around the toenails. These ones that are just right around the toenails, not like a whole big toe, those usually fade as they grow. But he's definitely going to keep these markings here. So there is our orange pup. All right. Well, let's see here. We're kind of hurrying because our battery's about to die. So this one is a brown ribbon. They all have polka dots in this litter. This one is a brown. Some of these colors we know are hard to tell apart on video, but with large litters we kind of run out of options, so hopefully you'll be able to tell them apart most of the time. If we look at him, again, we have it right here in the throat and the chest. And brown. Solid front paws. And marked back paws. His are a little bit higher up the toe, not just right around the toenail. But they're not like a solid white, they're a highlight. So those might fade as well. We'll just have to watch that and see. If they were definite solid white, it would for sure stay. But those highlights sometimes fade, especially on the toes. All right, so this is gonna be the one that's a little tricky to tell apart. This is navy blue. Hopefully you can tell him apart from the brown. Cute as can be. If we roll him over, do a big stretch, buddy. He's solid in the throat, nothing there on him. He has just a few white hairs right here in the chest. It's more of a highlight than a marking, so that could possibly fade, it could stay. If we look at him, his front paws are solid. His back paws, we have just a highlight around this one toe, so that could most likely that one's going to fade. So he could end up a solid pup. We'll just have to see if this really faint chest marking stays or goes, but he's pretty close to solid for our navy blue. All right, let's move on to Mr. Green. Sleepy. Here is our green boy. It's growing great, doing good. Let's take a look at him. If we look, he's got very, very faint. There are a couple of hairs right here in his throat. We'll see whether those stay or fade. That one could go away. It's very faint. Again, he's got a very faint chest marking. Again, that's small enough. It may stay. It may fade. We'll just watch him. His markings are very faint. Solid front paws. Big yawn. Stick out that tongue. And if we look back here, solid back paws. So he has a couple of very faint markings. We'll watch and see if those stay or whether they go. There is our green boy. Add him to the doggy pile. All right, and last but not least is Mr. Red. Oh no, so sleepy. Oh no. Let's take a look at him. Tip his head up. We have two little tiny spots in his throat. Those could stay, those could fade. Again, this is one that's faint enough. It's a watch and see. I know, buddy, I'm sorry. And a very small marking right there on the chest. Again, a watch and see if it stays or not. Solid front paws. And just a hint of 2 or 3 hairs right there on that toe. That will most likely go away. So very much like green, he's very lightly marked, and we will just see whether those markings stay or whether they go away as he grows. He's so tired. Since our battery hasn't died yet, let me point out a few things on him. So when Vizslas are born, they have very thick, waxy ears, and they're very small in proportion to their head. They'll get bigger, more pendulous as they grow. So as they grow, they'll thin out and get bigger. And right now, there's no opening into their ear canal. They're born without the ability to see or hear. And their eyes and their ears will open at about the same time, usually around the 2-week mark, sometimes 2.5 to 3 weeks, but usually closer to the 2-week mark, that their eyes and their ears will open. And they'll be able to see and hear and explore a whole new world will be open to them at that point. Another thing to take note of is that Vizslas are born with a dew claw on their front paws. Some breeds have all 4 paws. Vizslas are just the front. It is basically a thumb, and that is removed at a very young age because they are an active hunting breed, and they can actually catch that thumb, that dew claw, and rip it off as they're running through fields and brush and that kind of thing. So it's so tired. It's much less traumatic just to remove it cleanly than to have that get torn off. And it's done at a very young age before their nervous system is up and running very well. As you can see, they're born with their eyes closed, their ears closed. You know, that nervous system is still very much in development, and their sense of touch and feel isn't heightened at a very young age. It's still developing. And so you do it really early, between days 3 and 5, when they don't really feel it very much. They're not very happy about being separated from mom, but as soon as you put them back with mom, they don't even act like anything at all has happened. The other thing that is done at the same time with the dew claws is their tail. So we'll show you on Mr. Red here. They take off the last third. So 2/3 of their tail is left, and then the last third is removed. Again, this is because they're an active hunting breed, and a Vizsla tail is quite long and really quite thin at the end, and it can be prone to getting broken and injured as they're running and being, kind of crazy and active hunting dogs. So that is done again at the same time as the dew claws between days 3 and 5 before they're really going to fill up much. So those 2 things have been done on these pups. You might also notice that they have a little scab right here on their tummy. That's just where their umbilical cord was when they were in mama. It will just, go away. And they don't have a belly button that goes in like us. It'll just be a smooth belly button. But so there are Willow and Cliff's pups. We've made it before the battery died. They're darling and cute, and we're excited for them to make a great addition to your families.